in LCS. And they also have Wadid on G2. I love Wadid. I think he's a really good player. Back when we scrimmed his challenger team in Korea. And this was when I was on CLG, and he played Bard against us, and he just shit all over us. So me and Stixay became friends with him, and now whenever I see him, I just type his name out, and you just type his I letter like 20 times. So you say, Wadid, you know? And he thinks it's really funny. I think it's really funny.
Some playful jesting between the two regions. Welcome back to Rift Rivals 2018, where the #2 seed from North America, 100 Thieves, will be going up against EU's #2 seed in G2. Because each region is sending a team of similar seeding, side selection for this matchup will be decided by a 2v2 fought out on Howling Abyss. For the side selection of these matches, the teams may send out any 2 players of their starting 5. So, for 100 Thieves, they're sending out Brandini and Levi straight into the fire.
Let's go,
the
Levi.
subs coming in.
Go.
And for G2 Esports, we've got Wunder and Perkz. I don't know who those guys are.
Oh, really?
Oh, just the 2 soul laners.
You're really bad at preparing for an event.
Yeah, I haven't done any preparation for the EU side of things. We do have to welcome Deficio to the desk. I was informed that EU analysts can't hack a whole day on the desk, so we swapped them out midway through. You got to conserve their energy. Thank you for stepping up to the plate there, my friend.
That's what I do, man. Replace various. Make sure the quality goes up a little bit. It's what I'm here for.
Alrighty, well, let's talk about this 2v2, as it's the first one we're going to see. And, of course, we've got guys coming in from roles that wouldn't normally match up on Summoner's Rift.
So at least Brandini and Levi played in Academy a lot together, so hopefully there's some synergy.
They're going to pick a jungler and a top laner, and they're going to gank his lane. I get it now.
Play great,
Rank
Levi.
9 coming, man.
That jungle proximity through the roof here.
I'm actually super excited to see this happen. I've been playfully suggesting that we put in 1v1s or 2v2s for side selection in best of 5s or in other ways to break ties. And we're kind of getting to see it in this Rift Rivals event, but I have no idea what the meta is going to be in this. Like, how do you, it's totally different. It's not even just like an isolated mid lane because there's brush on the side, and Howling Abyss has health relics, and the rules are 2 kills, 100 CS, or turrets. So you get to have so much improvisation in what direction you want to go right off the bat. And I mean, you have to favor G2 because of the skill of Perkz and Wunder and how much they put in, but I'm just excited to see it.
Someone's going to be boring and play double push comp and just farm for 100 CS.
Are we going to see AP Nasus's and Anivias that just push
range
the lane
push,
over and over
range
again?
push for sure.
I don't think either of these teams will do that. They feel like pretty hyphy players, and I think G2 in particular, sending their best players in, they want to.
Oh, they're going to fight. Yeah, they're going to fight.
I got to steal back the conversation because as we're loading into Champion Select, our 2 teams are ready. So guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dash. Welcome to our first side selection of the 2v2 tournament. My name is Rivington Bislin III, and joined by the 2 analysts competing to be my 2v2 partner, Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley, and the ever-prolific EU caster Andrew Vedius Day.
Hello, gents. This is going to be a fun one. 2 versus 2. Perkz and Wunder, notable duo in Europe. I'm excited to see how they do against the 2 newest players of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have played together in Academy quite a lot, so it's not like they haven't practiced at all together. But it's going to be pretty interesting to see what sort of style is going to be brought out. Yeah, we got Syndra Fiddle versus Anivia plus Poppy? Oh, they're going for the Anivia wall stun combo.
Yeah, I like
this is a kill 2v2 that G2 is actually drafting. You can actually start the heroic charge there from Poppy and put the Anivia wall up while it's traveling and get the stun against the wall.
It definitely seems like there's more synergy already in those 2 picks with somebody being feared and running around and trying to hit a scatter on them.
But think of the chain
there's a lot of chaos
as well.
There's a lot of chaos there.
Like the insta-fear, the silence, the stun, the burst. But like, I'm wondering, do you think early levels with the 100 Thieves they're going to be that strong? Because you think Anivia, like, you have the egg. You also have, wait, of course, you also have the egg too. Oh, man, okay.
So the early game damage isn't really going to stick in the first place. You're going to have the egg to go through. That's free damage for whoever.
Poppy's had loads of buffs recently, too, right?
Yeah, Poppy has actually been getting quite a few buffs recently.
All right.
This does not seem like a play for 100 CS type strategy here. At least from G2's side.
Look at those summoners, too. Electrocutes across the board. They are looking to put the nail in the coffin early.
Yeah, this is definitely very aggressive summoners. Even more aggressive, honestly, on the side of 100 Thieves. But Levi not bringing Flash means he could be more vulnerable for the all-in, right? Because
He's ready.
This is a Syndra, no dash, not going to have Flash, but they have Heal, Ignite, Exhaust, which essentially you can triple stack those summoners like for an all-in type fight, and this is going to be pretty crazy.
Okay, so so this is the 2 versus 2 ARAM mode. So you don't actually start at level 3 like you do on live. You end up starting at level 1. I think G2 were caught unaware by this. We'll see how that affects their strategy. So I was speaking to Wunder and Perkz earlier, and they both said to me, we haven't been on ARAM in over a year. We don't even remember how this map works. So it feels like their picks have come in confident, but whether or not they can execute is another question.
I feel like it works somewhat, right? Perkz is like, okay, this is just like a very big mid lane. That should be pretty easy for him. Wunder, pretty much the same thing for him. So we'll have to see. They do have the wall combination, and maybe those are the skills they started with. Probably just the CC to make things easy in the beginning.
So you would expect 100 Thieves to kind of have that wave priority and push. They are the double range versus 1 range, 1 melee, and Nivea's really never been known pre-6 to have that kind of wave push. So you would imagine that for the time being, 100 Thieves are going to be the ones in control, getting those early couple of levels in control.
And you also have to remember that on Howling Abyss here, it is actually a bit different last hitting under the turret. Like the turret does more damage, so it is slightly different, as we would see sometimes in All-Stars. People are messing up their last hitting under the turret quite a bit more. So having push, if you want to go for a 100 CS win, is actually really big.
Brandini staying off on the side to get Dark Wind in and just keep Perkz and Wunder apart. It becomes a little bit easier with the minions there. Now he's just looking for the RNG bounce. He gets those, and this is going to be big as well. You think if Perkz wants to get that first selection, or maybe even a pick for somebody else for G2 to funnel going into this game. Europe has had a lot of that, so side selection here is actually quite big for that European side.
It certainly will be, and you do have to either find 2 kills, get those 100 CS, or secure the first turn. And right now it is 100 Thieves that are getting that bit of poke down, utilizing the early pressure that they do have. But it's around that level 3 mark that we're thinking is there. When you have that combo of the Poppy and the Anivia, that maybe we can see G2 looking to be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, definitely the case. And remember, this is actually, it's an old health pack.
Yeah, old relics there.
There's the combo.
Against the wall. Levi now looking good. 300 HP. It's going to be one last hit. And there it is for Wunder, looking for Brandini, and it's going to be the crow back. Silence is in.
Yeah, there you go. No flash on Levi, so no way out. G2 executes that combo very, very well. Levi's having a laugh about it, but one more death, and they're toast. It'll be a side selection for G2.
Yeah, and they were telling me that they weren't really prepared or anything for this draft, but it feels like that this strategy is a well-practiced one from the two, and they're making it work pretty effectively. They need one more kill to secure the side selection going into their matchup after this. Yeah. But that means that 100 Thieves can still come back with the 2 versus 2 that they have.
Yeah, I mean, if they could even get like something like a level 6, they're going to be pretty powerful if they can actually play safe until Fiddle hits 6, and you have Fiddle ult plus Syndra ult. You can just win a straight-up 2v2. It's not over, and get that 2 kills and come back.
So Fiddle ults. If he ults into a Poppy W, does he bounce off? Or does he end up jumping
I think he's in it. I think he's in it.
Because
I think it's more of a teleport.
It's more of a
blink, right?
Yeah.
So
he's in it.
It's not actually like a travel, so they're going for the all-in again.
You're in or you're out, but you can't dash through.
That was a really good fear actually from Brandini, fearing the Poppy to stop that stun combo into the wall, so that's who he's really going to have to look to peel.
All abilities had now. G2 coming in, as you were saying, Vedius, not really sure about the ARAM map play, and also expected to be level 3 to start, so they were a little abrupt beginning for them, but has fared well so far. 2.6k, just a little bit in the lead. That kill onto Levi. Brandini's been able to keep himself safe and afar from the fight. Now letting it push back in. This is when they got it before. Now they have a chance to go back down the lane. G2 might fight back.
G2 are kind of being forced to play defensively now. They don't want to play into all those minions. Once it pushes back, now they're looking to go.
Ooh, just on the other side of the wall, a bit of a clip there. Stuns back and forth. Exhaust goes down so they can deny the damage of Perkz, but he is still going to be chasing. Flash Frost going to be coming back up for another stun, but Wunder says not right now. Low on health. Perkz says go in. We've got the egg. Kill number 2 for G2.
And G2 find the successful 2 versus 2 against Levi and Brandini. The European synergy coming through, Wunder and Perkz finding that win, and they will be getting side selection now going into their match.
It was kind of smart. All right, we'll give you a little bit of there. The egg was good, obviously the revive, so we might see that a little bit more coming into 2v2 situations for the teams.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, they actually didn't quite get the wall charge combo. It was a little bit too late on the wall.
Through the wall, I think, in the end.
That final fight.
And 100 Thieves could have actually just backed out.
Yeah.
They wanted to continue fighting, thought maybe they could try to turn this around, and maybe should have just waited. You know, once you're this low, you can just recall, right? And come back. There were a 10CS or whatever ahead.
Yeah.
Instead, they're going to fight it out. Nicely done there by G2, and they will be rewarded with side selection.
Yeah, so well played there by G2. I love the strat. Poppy and Nivea is a 2v2 I have personally never quite seen. But clearly something.
But you knew what was happening as soon as you saw it.
Well, yeah, thanks to Azel. He pointed that one out super quickly. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool combo, and they made it work nicely.
It's because I played some cheesy stuff with the Nivea bot lane in the past. I used to love playing Vayne. You can do the same thing with Condemn.
Vayne, yeah.
You can actually condemn them first and then drop the wall as they're traveling, get the stun. And there's some pretty fun combos with that. Ornn can do some cool stuff with that as well with the knockups.
That's true.
But yeah, worked out well for G2, so well played to them.
Absolutely, and it is game time for the Summoner's Rift matchup. And now that we have side selection advantage decided, let's take a look at who's starting for each roster. From North America, it is 100 Thieves. That means coming out of the top lane is Brandini. In the jungle is Levi. Mid lane is Ryu, with bot lane Cody Sun and aphromoo right behind him as support. And as always, Coach Prolly.
And the 2 versus 2 victors. Granted side selection is G2 Esports. In the top lane is Wunder, their jungler Jankos, mid laner Perkz, bot lane Hjarnan and Wadid with their coach Grabs.
And at G2 Esports, it not only comes into this tournament as arguably the strongest of the European teams, but the team who has spent the most time perfecting the funnel comp.
Yeah, Perkz has been playing insanely well this split. You know, watching them play the funnel, it actually has been probably the most impressive team by far to play this. Perkz and Jankos work so well because they're playing side sustaining bottom lane, you know, with Hjarnan a lot on the Heimerdinger, but they're also moving around the map and being, I think, a lot more proactive than many of the other teams.
Yes.
You know, not only are they reaching 300 CS at 20 minutes, but Perkz has ganked the side lane, has taken the Rift Herald, and they're so proactive.
Yeah, you'd be surprised by how often these guys actually invest in ganking towards Wunder in the top lane. They look for dives very regularly. Aatrox was a champion they utilize pretty effectively, and they don't just spend all their time farming, they try to be as proactive as possible. And that has allowed players like Hjarnan, who had a rough split last split, to find these creative champions. You talked about the Heimerdinger, Morgana and Karma are 2 other champions these found good success with, and it's all about wave clear and just kind of adding that extra bit of early push and utility later on. It's
been awesome to see the expansion of those champion pools, and we will see how 100 Thieves respond to G2's picks as they bring 2 new players to the starting roster here for Rift Rivals.
Yeah, pretty big shakeup. You know, Meteos was traded away. They didn't have Onda yet, so Levi was going to have to be their starting jungler, which means either Someday or Ryu would have to sub out. And in this case, it is Brandini coming in for Someday. It is Levi coming in, and you know that is going to be a massive change for the team because Someday really has been the best performer for the team in spring.
But from what we've seen is that, as you mentioned earlier, Levi and Brandini have played together before. They do have that essence of synergy. They're on a roster that is still pretty talented, still sitting at the top of North America right now, tied for first. And they've used the funnel strat in the past, so we'll see how they handle going up against G2's funnel.
We will. A little bit of spillage for them. Clean it up, and they can sort it out, and they get that funnel working real well. We'll have to see with that first side selection out of the 2v2. G2 Esports bans out the Swain and the Galio, and now we get to see the Heimerdinger getting a little more play time and ban time.
Yeah, I really think that Hjarnan should never get to play Heimerdinger this whole tournament. It's not something that is played very much in NA at all, and it is so damn good in the hands of an experienced Heimerdinger player, and Hjarnan was that Heimer one trick in the past and has been really excellent on the champion. It works so well at enabling the funnel. So to me, you should never let G2 have Kai'Sa. You should never let G2 have Heimerdinger because those are the 2 things that really, I think, enable their funnel more than any other champions.
For sure. And I love that we're seeing a lot of respect as well from the EU side with regards to Rakan. It is a very popular support here in North America. And you guys Levi's been playing a lot of the Zyrakan bot lane, having that early strong playmaking duo as well. And in the hands of Cody Sun and aphromoo, that is something G2 is saying we want to give that respect towards. We don't want to give them that duo.
And even the Zyrakan funnel is something that 100 Thieves have really been liking, kind of moving that to mid lane, and that is an insta-lock Aatrox.
And we have actually had a lot of blue side bans towards that Aatrox as well. Teams being unsure, but boom, Wunder selects that for the team.
It's really interesting because the community reaction when Aatrox came out as well, this champion sucks. And it really has proven that it is just like a learn-to-play type issue where in pro play around the world, people are bringing this champion out. They're smashing in the various Rift rivals. And Aatrox, in my opinion, has one of the strongest laning phases top lane in the game. Probably the strongest level 1 in the game. Like, if you are hitting the sweet spots, the damage is honestly shocking. And in combination with the physical lifesteal on his E, he's very hard to push out as well.
Yeah, and we are playing on patch 8.13 with the hotfixes included. We are on the same client as live, which means that Aatrox, he is even stronger than he was on release. He is really tough to deal with. Had the chance to chat with Wunder, and he says, yeah, if you get this champ, you are looking good. But so far with the rest of G2's draft, they're moving away from the funnel boys. They're going for a little bit more standard, and with the Nocturne, with the Zoe, they have a lot of early game playmaking and potential.
100 Thieves as well. Taliyah getting grabbed up, grabbing Jankos' best selection at the moment in Braum as well. Take that away from him, but he gets the Nocturne as you see. A final pickup here for phase 1 of 100 Thieves. And looks like they'll lock in that jungle as well.
Yeah, the Levi special here, bringing in the Graves. He is really known for his Graves, has shown it off internationally before and been very dominant with it. Because we have the Braum Graves, it is actually possible to get a Levi Graves funnel. I have seen him running this in the past. Doesn't necessarily have to be that, could still be pretty standard, but definitely a lot of potential to kind of mix things up here on the 100 Thieves side, as Levi is an extremely flexible player.
So it does look like that means we're going to see a Zoe versus Taliyah in the middle lane, and when you kind of think about their ability to push, it's going to be really important in this matchup because you always have to think about the mid-jungle synergy and how strong they are in being able to contest things like the Scuttle and go for these invades. And one of the things that Zoe's always been known for is when she's paired up with a pretty strong early game jungler, she can do a lot of damage. And she works very nicely, and with things like Nocturne, if he lands the Q with his Fear, with lethal tempo, that is a very scary 2 versus 2 that you have to respect on the side of G2.
And I also really love pairing Nocturne with this Aatrox. You take a lane bully, and you also take a champion who at level 6 essentially has the built-in GA. Aatrox can start a dive, and Nocturne can so easily follow up on that, so it's going to be a ton of pressure on Brandini already. You know, this is an Academy player moving up, playing against the best team in Europe right now, so already so much pressure on this guy's shoulders, and Jankos and Wunder are drafting to put a tremendous amount of pressure on him. If Brandini gets smashed, the game can be ended through top.
For sure.
Just looking at these first 3 for G2 Esports is kind of a terrifying fight. Once that goes dark, you have bubbles flying. As you said, Aatrox coming in, so there'll be almost no ability to protect who is getting hit.
It's funnel for 100 Thieves, and now it's just finding out.
Alistar.
It's probably a funneled Graves, I think.
You would imagine, and the Taliyah going down bot.
And we could see Taliyah bot. This is pretty interesting. Like, I wonder how they're actually going to mix things around. You know, Taliyah plus Alistar could be the bot. Alistar and Braum both work pretty well as a funnel with the marksman. You're assuming it's going to be Braum in combination with the Graves. The skirmishing there could be pretty powerful. But the other question for me is then, what is Cody Sun playing here, right? Like, it's traditionally 400 Thieves when they funnel. Cody Sun is put on the marksman in the mid lane, but you have Levi here as well. Levi obviously is an absolute solo queue monster, rank 1. He has played mid. He's played all these different things. So maybe it's Levi playing Taliyah bot and Cody Sun playing Graves mid. It's really hard to know.
And we're getting the Pyke from G2. North America, you guys haven't seen this boy yet.
We've seen it in solo.
But in Europe, we love it. It is
This is the one thing I'll thank you guys for bringing over.
We love to roam with it. We love to move around the map. And this is something that 100 Thieves are going to have to pay close attention to, because Hjarnan, we talked about it. On 80 carries, he didn't have the best split last split. He was kind of rated pretty low relative to many other talent that we have. And so in the current meta, he plays mainly mages, wave clear, utility. So in the Karma, he's more than happy to 2 versus 1. And that means that Wadid is going to be roaming around the map and looking to execute some of the 100 Thieves men.
And it's looking like they're actually going to have Cody Sun playing one of the supports. So it's likely going to be Cody Sun Alistar. It's kind of all the eggs in the Levi basket here.
Yeah.
Double support. They're going to funnel Levi. This is basically Gigabyte Marines style being brought to the Rift Rivals here in the NALCS. And This is going to be really interesting. Brandini on the Rumble, well, traditionally it is a good bully champion against a lot of these melee kind of bruisers up in the top lane. Aatrox actually has a decent amount of range, and you can actually connect with your Qs even if he is at flame spitter range. So could be tough for Brandini up there.
It's really interesting because when I was chatting to some of the top laners at the event, they were all saying that both Aatrox and Rumble are really good laning champions, but then as the game progresses, they just progressively get worse, and their ability to impact becomes weaker and weaker. So I feel like the laning phase is going to be a big deal for these two top laners.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever can find that early lead will definitely be in a favorable position, but you already talked about it, Azael. G2 are kind of setting up to play towards the top side, especially when you have Pyke looking to roam, Nocturne level 6. A lot of pressure is going to be on
as
Levi.
a jungler, the other doesn't, right? So it's like, well, great, you both have lane bullies, but Brandini has to just kind of sit back and take it because he doesn't have that backup. He doesn't have that defense, and both top laners also going Comet here. So I have been seeing, you know, originally I saw a lot of people playing Conqueror and Aatrox, but I feel like most people have settled on either Grasp or Comet. Yeah. Those are kind of the two that are most popular. Comet works similarly on Aatrox as it does on Camille. Like, that's a pretty good one-to-one comparison when you look at the tactical sweep versus, you know, the kind of smash there. Whoa! Oh, there's no follow-up.
Angry. Yeah, not a lot of long range to connect with the Winter's Bite, but they'll still get in. Flash down for aphromoo.
Afro asserting his dominance in the enemy jungle. Look,
is that asserting dominance?
Spam and laugh in the enemy jungle, saying, no, this belongs to us now. And G2 just going to copy on the other side of the rift, drop a couple wards, see where 100 Thieves is starting. But I think it's really important for Levi, knowing where Jankos is kicking off his jungle route. It gives you a bit of an idea if he's looking for potentially early ganks, if he wants to try and invade. And obviously, Levi, he wants to get as many resources as possible. So stealing an enemy red while getting his own as well is exactly the kind of situation that he wants for himself.
Ugh. Today definitely needed a bit more cowbell, and we are off and running here on the rift between G2 and 100 Thieves. As we saw those sweepers being used early, so everybody could get their fingers in a bit of a different pie to start here. Red buff going down to the bottom side of 100 Thieves, and we may just see a different path here from Jankos to go top with some help.
Now it is worth mentioning that G2, we have a bit of a skirmish early on here down the bot lane. They're just going to each walk off. Nobody's going to be too upset about that one. G2 in Europe, they've pretty much played only funnel comp. There have been a couple of exceptions, but they are very familiar with this strategy, which means they're familiar with how to shut it down too. Something that you really need to keep your eye on is vision around the map, because they love having information as to where the enemy funnel is at all times, so that Jankos can look to punish on the opposite side of the map. And for 100 Thieves, they have to try and make sure that they don't fall behind in the early game, because G2, they love these early leads and they know how to snowball with them.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw already earlier today, Aquafox really being punished with the funnel. Uni playing pretty disrespectfully, nonstop pushing the lane, making it easy to get ganked. But when you pick a champion like Rumble, you're kind of opting into pushing. He doesn't really want to be under his turret the whole time, and it does make it a little bit more difficult, because there's always, you can't shove blindly or you get ganked, but at the same time, if you let the wave always crash to you, the wave will reset and will push naturally to your opponent, which is going to expose you to the ganks or even a wave being built up and you being dove. So Brandini really is going to have to navigate this very, very well, because he knows Nocturne can be up here. He's very unlikely to get any help, and this is a really strong diving duo.
Just in and out, they can make it through, and Brandini will have to teleport back to lane quick. It doesn't look like he's going to get too much help, as you were saying, with the focus bottom and the focus funnel to Levi at this point. Just pushing up slowly, Jankos waits, but it doesn't look like they'll try to get any engage onto this one just yet.
Yeah, because one of the big changes for Aatrox with the rework was that you no longer, bit of a trade down bot, but you no longer have the Bloodwell until you have the ultimate and you actually pop it. So that revive isn't really available early on into the game. So those potential dives not quite as threatening until he hits the level 6 mark. And as you already talked about it, Jankos is going to primarily look to get that level 6 with the Nocturne, power farm through the jungle, and just try and get those levels up as fast as possible.
And nice umbral chains there from Wunder. Really what you're trying to do is you're trying to hit that chain in the position where your opponent has to run back, and then they can get reset into your Q sweet spot. And what Brandini needs to do is actually run to the side. If you try to run straight out the back, you will get pulled back into the middle. And it's one of those champions that if someone is inexperienced on it, it's terrible. But likewise, if your opponent does not understand what is really going on and you do, you really can dominate lane. So this is going to be a bit of a test for Brandini. How much has he really studied this champion? How well does he understand the limits of the Aatrox? Because if you don't get what the champion is doing, it's very hard to play against it.
Slow rotation up from Wadid as the lane gets pushed in. We know on that Pyke he would be heading around the map, not something we see in North America, so it'll be interesting to see if 100 Thieves can react accordingly once they find him scurrying about.
And I love that you mentioned that, Riv, because something that the European squads love to do is abandon their quote-unquote bot lane carry, which he might need to be careful of because there's a lot of all-in potential here in the bot lane.
The combo into the flip.
Few hits, Hjarnan not looking good. Flashes out, but the stun is there. The follow-up damage is not, though. Flash forward, and yes! They will be able to get the final hit. That was coming in from Cody Sun and the Ignite.
I mean, you called it out, Vedius. The all-in is so good from Alistar plus the Taliyah because the Alistar combo sets you up perfectly for the seismic shove. When you land that full combo, it's so devastating. You know, even just with the base damages, these guys haven't even shopped yet, and Hjarnan gets popped, that's both sums down.
And such a good punish from 100 Thieves, exactly what you want to be doing against these roaming supports. Typically, Karma's considered pretty safe, she can farm from pretty far back, but Hjarnan doesn't respect the all-in from Cody Sun and ends up getting punished as a result.
And we're really going to have to track how does Cody Sun do, not only in the early stages, but as the game progresses, right? It's such a different style of play here to go from being this carry player where 100 Thieves always pouring all your resources into you to being the Alistar. And there it is, headbutt pulverized into the flip.
Yeah, and they spotted Wadid on the roam because they had that ward in the tri-bush. And as Wadid roamed up to mid lane, maybe looking for an opportunity, 100 Thieves were more than ready to get the punish. And it's just something we've been seeing a lot recently. When Taliyah goes down to the bot lane, often we've seen her with like a Shen. You actually have so much damage and so much kill pressure. And we just saw an example of it just now.
I'm also going to be really interested to see how this Graves is actually going to function as the kind of the guy who is receiving all this gold in the funnel, because traditionally it is more kind of like hyper-scaling champions, and Graves is more of an early game brawler. Like, this is pretty different.
The shots, flashing the end of the line. Perkz correctly choosing the way out of that one, but great aggression as the funnel continues to move into mid lane.
Now Jankos is level 5. Perkz he kind of positioned pretty poorly in the lane right there, right next to the wall, which 100 Thieves did have vision of, allowing them to force the flash out from Perkz. And so far in this early game, things are going quite nicely for the 100 Thieves. They have a decent early game gold advantage thanks to the kill that they've been able to get and all the farm that they've successfully farmed into Levi. You look at the farm that Perkz has actually gotten, you kind of have to compare it to Wunder. Like, he's actually pretty far behind, and this is not the kind of situation that Perkz wants to be in.
Actually pretty surprised that Perkz didn't stop that recall. That was such a lazy recall from Levi in the middle of the lane, and even just interrupting that, like, Levi committed his ultimate to clear out that wave so he could get a better recall off, and it is a small thing, but either way, he is going to have a full warrior completion, so very, very strong at this point in the game. I will say I'm a bit surprised to see he went chilling smite instead of challenging. Generally, people are much more on the challenging smite train when you're funneling so much gold into it. It is more of a damaging option, but this gives you a bit more utility, a bit more chase down, with a bit more kind of kiting. So we'll see how well he's going to be able to utilize it.
All right, we have to note now, Jankos has hit level 6, Wunder level 7. We're going to see a top lane dive. It should be expected to be sooner. Wunder might just kill Brandini.
Brandini very low. Third Darkened Blade hits. The crowd control isn't enough, but Wunder holds the world ender as the rest of the team is focusing on the bottom side of the map.
There you go. So you needed to ult the wave and space, and that is the right call there from Brandini. Waits till the next wave comes in. Jankos is looking bot, though, for a play here.
Right onto Hjarnan, but they're going to go slightly past, and it is quickly going to take down Ryu. They slightly disengage. Wadid goes invisible as they can't find a hit for Cody Sun. Hjarnan might be the focus as Levi is just on the wing. It does not look like they have the aggression to go into the turret.
So G2 are able to answer. They invest the resources bot instead of top. They feel like Wunder is already comfortably winning in the top side of the map, and rather than snowball it, they want to try and mitigate some of the pressure that's happening down towards the bot side. But good to see Jankos getting a successful ult off and resulting in a kill for G2.
Yeah, Wunder is even just proxying at this point. He cut the wave so it would group on his turret. Perkz is roaming up there looking for the dive.
I would not be happy if I was Brandini right now. Bad situation. Wunder with the ultimate can put on World Ender. They don't even need it as Perkz draws aggro. Ryu will be there to deter an extra fight, but he might have just
another kill.
Put himself in the ground. Another one coming in for Wunder. The double kill, and ult is still, ult is down.
And G2 are just raking in these early game kills. Another contender is coming to fight Wunder.
Yeah, Ryu just kind of wandered in and killed himself there. aphromoo is up next, but they should be able to get this shutdown. They want to donate it onto Levi, so
just trying to deny the extra ones. Collateral damage comes through, and they do pick up that kill.
But just demonstrating the early playmaking potential of this Aatrox. Wunder, he is a well-known top lane carry in Europe. G2 like to set him up to be one of those big carries, and finding these kills, having Perkz roam up towards the top side is a great way for G2 to get more back in this early game.
Yeah, so Brandini had not actually gone back to base. The proxy was set up, the wave stacks, they set up the dive very nicely here. This is all fine though, 400 Thieves, not much way for Brandini to get out, but Ryu walks in, bold as you like, just walks into melee range of Wunder. That is just really poor play from Ryu. And that almost just is one of those things where you're like, does he know what that champion can do? Like, has he read the tooltips?
And even for this moment, how much is he drawing in resources for 100 Thieves on the map? Not pushing, mid's getting pushed in. And you see the bot lane roaming.
One thing to point out there, though, is shutdowns on this patch actually do turn on at 2 kills, and it all goes on to the one who gets the shutdown. It is not actually shared team gold anymore.
Right.
So Levi did pick up the shutdown gold there. You know, as a result, he's 800 plus gold on Wunder, about 900 now. That is the highest in the game by quite a bit. So Levi is still going to be very strong, and we're going to have to see where he goes as far as the build and how they utilize this gold, because it's not really a great sieging champion. He does fight well in skirmishes and around objectives, but you know, doesn't have insanely good scaling either. So I'm interested to see both his build and how they try to actually get something out of it.
Yeah, because when I think of like the Graves style of funnel comp, how it's different from any of the other funnel comps is number one, it's really good at invading, especially when you pair it up with a Braum, because their ability of them to skirmish and actually win these early trades is very effective. But also, it just has a stronger mid-game spike relative to many other carries, like the Kaisa and the Lucian. So that means that 100 Thieves should be looking to be more proactive a little bit earlier in the game, around the time when Ryu gets his first item spike. So that's kind of what I'm looking for when Ryu completes his first item, when Levi completes his first major item after the jungle one, when they can look to be a little bit more proactive.
And I'm super interested to see, does he go more of a Graves style build? Is he going to go like PD, Death Dance, etc.? Or is he actually going to go for crit? Because I have seen, you know, when Graves are very ahead, sometimes they can go for straight up rapid fire IE and just all in scaling. 100 Thieves might get dove again.
Oh, Wadid is in. Jankos just behind him. A nice bone spear back, and they're going to be able to take down Brandini. Jankos 1-0-1 now on the board.
Wadid roaming around the map as well, already has the boots of mobility, and with the priority that Perkz is gaining mid, the fact that Hjarnan's holding bot lane by himself, and Jankos having the ultimate, they are just trying to shut down Brandini up towards the top side of the map, and they recognized, you know what, Sunday was a strong point of this squad in the past. Brandini, new to the roster overall, and his first international competition, they want to try and attack that weak point.
They definitely do, and we saw Echo Fox kind of fall prey to this earlier. Again, we're seeing 100 Thieves kind of struggle with it. You need to be able to still have the flexibility to have your supports roaming up and protecting your top laner when those dives are going to come in. And, you know, both times 100 Thieves was kind of late on the play. You need to already be in position when those waves are stacking, when the potential dive can come in. You need the Braum or the Alistar to roam up there and protect that guy, because you can't just sacrifice one side of the map where you start to fall too far behind in gold and the funnel becomes not so advantageous.
It's also important to recognize that while Wunder has taken the top tower, will they choose to group him with the rest of the team, or will they keep him off on a side lane? Because what many of the pros have said to me is like, this guy doesn't do very well in team fights, especially against a lot of CC, because it's really hard for him to close the gap. Old Aatrox had the Q, so he could just kind of dark flight into the middle of a fight, and that was his easy way to get involved. But this Aatrox, he doesn't have that same kind of mobility. It's a lot harder for him to get onto the backline, so keeping him in a side lane is often the preferred choice, but he's so far ahead, they might just want to try and force more fights now.
Yeah, I mean, with this sort of a lead, you know, when he completes, I think he is going to go for first item Death Dance here, it's looking like, even though he still has a Phage. You are going to be a monster in those fights, and he could get chunked down here.
Oh, man, not where he wants to be. aphromoo standing beside the minion, tries to get a little bit of defense in as Wadid is over the wall. He's not going to engage, though. Just goes ahead and gets the taunt in very nicely.
Nice mechanics. Very, very clean taunt.
Beautiful dance.
Good stuff.
That dance is illegal in 70 countries.
That's a lot of countries.
Being one of them, yeah.
So I'm looking at what Wadid is trying to set up himself. Deep vision being spread across the top side of the map. This is mainly for Wunder so that he can continue on with his split push. He's still yet to complete his first major item along with the rest of G2. Whereas for 100 Thieves, we're keeping a close eye on what Levi is looking to go for. You talked about what build path he might choose for. It feels like that the Phantom Dancer will be his first port of call. And it's a pretty decent first item spike, but when I think of mid-game spikes for Graves, that's not the one that kind of jumps out to me and think that's when Graves gets really scared.
And how does it work for 100 Thieves now looking at their team if Levi goes down in these fights? Because, wait a minute, Perkz going down. He flashes forward with the ultimate, I should say blinks forward. but we see them now hitting up Brandini over and over again. This Rumble going down or even left up in a fight won't provide as much damage. So what happens when they do take out Levi right away coming mid-game?
I mean, the comp falls apart. That's the problem with almost every funnel is when all your gold is focused on one person, the composition falls very quickly apart if they go down right at the start. That being said, Rumble plus Taliyah is still a very high amount of damage, and there's a pretty good AoE involved in that as well, but they are lining up these dives very, very well onto Brandini, using the Searing Chains from the Aatrox right into the Paranoia coming out from the Nocturne. So, you know, it's good execution on these dives. Both the turrets are already knocked down top, and G2 is building up a big enough gold lead that even if you have to go to a team fight where the Graves is showing up, the gold stops mattering as much when you're up 4, 5, 6K. You can just take that mid-game team fight, and usually if Funnel loses that team fight, the game ends.
Yeah, so I'm looking now. 100 Thieves. Levi is completed his first major item. He hasn't grouped up with his team, but they are looking towards a bot lane play towards Ryu. They haven't secured the mid tower yet from the side of G2. Interestingly, they've actually brought Wunder up into the middle lane alongside Perkz. There are no real objectives for G2 to take right now, so it feels like there's just going to be a primarily steady pushing into the towers of 100 Thieves, trying to slowly chip these towers down, and not giving 100 Thieves an opportunity to find a pick or a play onto the side of G2.
This is going to be pretty crazy now for Wunder. It gets so hard to actually knock this guy down with the Death Dance. Not only do you have kind of the delayed damage that you are being taken from the Death Dance, but you have 15% of your physical damage is actually being healed from the Death Dance. Then you have an additional 20% or so, depending on his rank, of that third, so it's up to 22.5 on his E. So like the amount of healing
physical
becomes,
damage,
it's
too.
all physical damage, which is basically all Aatrox does. It becomes so hard to even out DPS his healing this point. Like when Brandini is this far behind, you essentially cannot do anything except hide under your turret and pray you clear the wave.
So now 100 Thieves are just forcing a group up in the middle lane. This could be a good opportunity for them. You already talked about how Taliyah and Rumble have good damage. And Perkz, he doesn't have flash.
That would have been huge if they could have just separated the health bar. Perkz locked up, knocked down, and instantly hit up by Levi and the rest of the team's damage.
Yeah, and Wunder is just continuing to push here. There's no minion wave 400 Thieves, so there's not really anything for them to get. So, you know, 100 Thieves, they group up, they get a kill, but Wunder has pressure on the top side, so all they're really going to get out of this is maybe the Dragon, and that's about it.
Yeah, G2 is still pinging onto that top tier 3, and they're saying, look, the rest of 100 Thieves are going to go for the Drake. You should be able to get some decent damage down onto this turret.
Rumble has no ult. He can't defend this at all, actually. I think the inhib could potentially even be gone as G2 is moving up, but Braum has recalled, and Wunder doesn't want to try risking it.
And you can see the strategy for 100 Thieves was, listen, we're losing too much in the side lanes. If we group up mid, we can force G2 to group up against us, and then we're in a more favorable position. They find a successful pick onto Perkz, but then G2 realize at that point, oh, there's nothing really left for us to lose, so we may as well go towards the top side of the map and keep pushing, and they find a successful tower.
See this fight again in the mid lane.
Yeah, nicely engaged here by aphromoo, the flash combo to follow it up there from Cody Sun. This is well done. They get a quick kill, but that's a couple summoners, a couple ultimates invested. They do get one kill, they do get the Dragon, but they lose their inhibitor turret top, which is kind of the last bastion of safety for Brandini. You know, he does need a turret plus his own defenses to even stand a chance against Wunder right now, and that is going to be like kind of a big weakness now for 100 Thieves. You know, where do you really put Brandini if you can't put him in a side lane against Wunder? He can stay grouped, but as long as G2 does not allow themselves to be engaged on, you can wait for Wunder to get pressure in the side lane and force 100 Thieves to always respond.
Looks like they're switching it up a little bit already. All that top vision maybe pushed down towards the bot side of the map as we see G2's focus swaying sides slightly here, getting flanked in by aphromoo and the team saying, nope, we're going to save this turret. G2 Perkz still pushing on the bot side, though, as they still are trying to spread 100 Thieves thin. 100 Thieves not able to find one of these crowd control fights yet. It's only one member and G2 are able to back off.
The other big thing that 100 Thieves have to be really careful of is the pick potential from G2. Note how much time they're investing on getting control wards in their own side of the jungle. Because they are so afraid of Pyke and Nocturne as a duo just showing up out of nowhere. The camouflage from the Pyke, the ultimate range on Jankos, he's now level 11 as well. He's completed the Duskblade too. There's so much damage between the two that you just sit there as Levi trying to farm the Rafters, instantly you're collapsed on by 2, maybe even 3 people, and you get one shot.
And then one thing that 100 Thieves does have working in their favor for this, though, is double Sightstone, right? So you have twice as many wards to kind of protect you from these potential dives. And if they can stabilize, and force the game into this kind of point of equilibrium where G2 then has the team fight, it can be tough for Nocturne and Aatrox to really get in when there is the Braum, there's the Alistar to peel, and all this AoE that you have to go through. So that's really what 100 Thieves is trying to do, where G2 is trying to kind of flex their muscles right now, utilize their advantages that they have in the side lanes.
Because, I think you make a great point there, Azelle. Just look at how squishy this G2 comp is. They don't have a lot of team fight damage.
Oh my God! You were saying
for team fight damage.
You were saying, I don't want to say you were saying.
They have great pick potential.
Damn!
But this is what we were talking about. You're sitting there in a brush, you think you're okay, and then boom, someone shows up out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it to be Perkz, but
he's got pants.
The man finds himself a kill.
It's the Zoe classic, man. He's double spellbend, Stork Boots, Oblivion Orb, and the Ludens. That right there is, well, you just die when you get comboed, turns out.
I think I hit something. 4,000 gold in the lead now. The side lane's being pushed as 100 Thieves still focusing mid. They're getting the Zoe and Aatrox on either side so they can get pincered in here. But Levi and aphromoo feel like they are controlling the mid lane. Cody Sun gets caught out on the left. They can pick off one, continue the rest, leaving it out for Perkz, but they say no, go ahead and take it. In from the side comes Wunder, and he just knocks up and locks up 100 Thieves, keeps themselves alive with the World Ender on, and Levi or Ryu cannot retaliate.
Yeah, Hjarnan almost went down there as well, but there is that mid-game power of Aatrox. 2 items completed, he goes in. Ooh, the ult, maybe enough for Hjarnan?
Tries to throw down the red carpet, but no one. Going to be welcome to that fight. Everybody backs out as Hjarnan throws down his Zanyas. 100 Thieves hold the turret, but they are losing members in each one of these engages.
It's just multiple picks coming out from G2. The mobility, the fact they have pressure on the side waves. And you think that Cody Sun, being on the Alistar with his ulti, he'd be fine to just clear vision throughout his own half of the jungle, but Zoe was able to collapse down from the top side of the map. Jankos, he uses his Sphere to just keep him locked down, and then the rest of 100 Thieves are trying to come in to save them, but then Wunder comes in from the other flank.
Yeah, and I mean, the level advantages here are really big. That is a level 13 Nocturne onto a level 9 Alistar. Hjarnan level 14, or sorry, Wunder is level 14 there as well. Like, all of G2 is very heavily over-leveled compared to 100 Thieves roster. There's a couple levels up in most regards. Yes, Levi does still have an advantage, but Wunder is the same level as your funneled graves, right? Like, it's looking pretty grim for 100 Thieves, and they're going to have to try to minimize loss as much as possible. But G2 is doing such a smart job of spreading the map. Again, their solo laners go out to the side lanes. They will push. No one can really answer them 1v1 right now, so you send a couple people up there, and then the rest of G2 can collapse back to the mid lane and attack whoever was left.
And it becomes crazy how much that we see that 2v2 taking side selection, getting that first pick Aatrox since it wasn't banned, has meant to G2. Having that, focusing him in the top side, and really being able to get on Brandini. Now, they tried a little bit of retaliation here onto Perkz. One successful takedown as they're now chasing G2 down into the river. They throw down the paranoia so they can shut down the vision. And that's going to be Brandini on the other side going down for the retribution kill.
So it ends up being a 1-for-1 overall. Perkz being a little cocky there, walking through an area of the map that he did not have vision of, and 100 Thieves successfully punish him as they were setting up vision around the Baron buff. And that's the key here, because they now have 4 members on the top side of the river, and they might look to force it as Wunder is sitting in bot lane.
I think they have to. If you're not responding immediately to the Aatrox, your only option is start the Baron. 100 Thieves know that Levi...
He's coming.
Okay. Levi's really strong here. He's got to have a successful play for 100 Thieves to have a chance.
Here are those darkened blades. Stuffs to get himself out with the ultimate on as well. He thought he was going to take a whole lot of front-end damage there.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, Azelle. It was the best situation or decision for 100 Thieves to make in that situation, because ideally you just want to get the TP out from Wunder, force him to join in. You don't have to hard commit to the Baron, but as long as you can stop Wunder pressuring that bot tower, you are a happy chappy. And given that G2 only had 3 members alive, I think it was the best decision.
And there is a small window here now where 100 Thieves could look for a fight. There's no Nocturne ult, there's no Aatrox ult, there's no Aatrox TP. If you can get grouped up and force a fight now, that is your biggest window. But we'll see if they're able to actually force anything.
Might be the keep it alive mentality on this mid lane turret. Cody Sun setting up on the right side. Clears down and puts a little bit of vision of his own. A lot of chip damage coming in. Ryu getting hit up. 1 Dark Blade from Wunder. There's the second one as he makes his way out to safety. Jankos ready to come in as well. His ult is back up. from the engage just down to Brandini. G2 in control right now.
And as the game is starting to slow down, it's really important to remind of the ultimate narrative of this story, and that is between Jankos and his former coach, Probably. Because, you know, he was upset that he left Europe. He was upset that he joined this 100 Thieves squad, who had a great performance last bit, but he wants revenge, as G2 are now grouping up in the middle lane, looking to take down Probably.
But Probably's always been a nice guy. The first few, you can
Such a
have
nice
him,
guy,
you can take it, there you go. And then he comes back to get you. That's the 100 Thieves way. We'll see 9-4 here, 25 minutes in, as everything calms down, as you were saying, Vedius, and we'll see how the team size up in a minute.
I mean, he's basically the first NA import to EU, so we had to get him back. You know, we couldn't let you even have one.
Yeah, and he's already doing better. He made it to his first finals in NA. Right now, 100 Thieves not quite in their prime position, obviously with Sunday not being on the roster, but still, so far, putting up a pretty effective fight against G2. Only in a slight deficit, and Brandini, given all the pressure that has been put onto him, given that G2 have pretty much focused on trying to shut him down.
Onto the Baron.
They're the ones now setting up for the Baron, and they're forcing G2 to make a decision.
Yeah, Wunder is roaming. He does have the ultimate back now, but no TP. 100 Thieves won't kill this too fast.
You got the equalizer to throw
Perkz
down. Once
ended.
you can find the team, Perkz heads in, and Perkz goes right down. Equalizer is still up, so it's going to be a very hard engage here for G2 if they want to get everybody in that death ball.
Yeah, this is so big for 100 Thieves. Perkz just walked up and killed himself there, and if 100 Thieves can win this fight,
look at the positioning of Jankos. He
little
does have
dance
the
over
ulti
here.
available, but he could get collapsed on here by 100 Thieves.
Say, hey guys, I found the jungler. The rest of 100 Thieves want to commit to that, and they take a whole lot of damage from that Soul Flare. Nice job by Hjarnan to poke and pepper the team.
Now we gotta criticize Perkz, because this is his third death of the game. He has been caught out a lot. And 100 Thieves, every time they've seen that opportunity, they've looked to shut him down. And that could have been a big Baron play for 100 Thieves, and it could have been off the back of what was a huge mistake from Perkz. Fortunately, though, 100 Thieves, they didn't want to take that big gamble. They didn't want to run the risk of fighting Aatrox in the Baron pit, and instead they decided to go back to base and reset.
yeah, and the four-man squad of G2 after this pick, I mean, Perkz just walks straight in.
Yeah.
He'd already seen them, and he ults forward into them all. Definitely a big mistake there from Perkz, but the rest of the G2 squad handled themselves very, very calmly. They tried to turn and get a pick onto Jankos. Jankos gets away, and Jankos almost level 16 as well here at this point. So G2 ends up coming positive in the play because they knocked down the last outer turret there, got the mid turret, keep the Baron on the table, and they're doing what they need to do. But 100 Thieves is trying to come back here again and again. They're trying to get a force. I don't know about that flash.
Do they want it, though? Wunder goes in. He's got the ultimate on. He's going to have 3. Nice knock up in the Darkened Blade. And now the Zanias goes down for Brandini. Jankos chased on a Levi, but the Guardian Angel's going to keep him up and take Levi down at the end of the line. Doesn't. There goes Brandini. And it's going to be Ryu to fall next, but they do get one onto Jankos. The eyes are all on to aphromoo as Cody Sun and Levi now out of the fight. One last hit coming in. Perkz and Hjarnan getting a little hit on that. Levi doing everything he can. Double buff transfer coming over. And that goes to Hjarnan and Wadid, the last one standing in the fight.
Levi tries his best, but he gets zoned out of the fight by Jankos, and he can't really contribute the damage that has been built up on him throughout this entire game, allowing G2 to just slowly work their way through the double support lineup of 100 Thieves and come out successfully in this team fight.
And here is the engage. The flash in pretty early from Wadid, but Wunder is on the roam, coming around the side, and as you said, Jankos flying into the back. Jankos is so strong at this point, level 15. Levi has to go into full retreat, and the GA means he can't collapse back to the team until that has come back up.
And Ryu, he didn't come into the fight until much later, and he couldn't have the same impact that he would have liked because there were only 2 members of 100 Thieves. G2 saw an opportunity to engage, and immediately they used their numbers advantage to come out on top. Fortunately for 100 Thieves, no big objectives were lost, just a bit of vision was gained in favor of the side of G2, and they're going to have ability to set up around the Baron first. But 100 Thieves still at a huge goal deficit right now, and they are struggling in these fights.
And that was a pretty critical Soul Flare actually from Hjarnan. Had that not hit, Levi is so strong that you can turn around those fights. Like, Graves can get super tanky when you have the Death Stance going and you're this fed. Some of those fights, you think you're winning, the Graves is really low, and he just keeps dealing damage.
I mean, you just look at the damage that he was able to throw out in that fight. Even though it looked like he could really only fight Jankos, he was even able to get himself a kill off the back end. He's now fought one-on-one and really has to be the big carriers. Looks like he's actually working towards that Infinity Engine. You talked a little bit about it, Dale. Going more towards that crit style, and we're seeing more of a late game Graves.
And I think you need to, right? Like, when you can't afford to just go pure kind of utility with a Maw and everything, because so much of the onus for this damage is on your shoulders. And You know, G2 has continually extended the gold lead. They're up, you know, quite a lot here, up 7.5K. But they do need to keep pushing the pace. They do need to keep increasing the pressure because the team fighting is very difficult. And if you let Brandini kind of slowly work his way back into this game, get level 16 for that Rumble ultimate, yeah, their damage is going to be there. So we'll see if G2 can close this out. They've been looking very good so far, but 100 Thieves is hanging on.
They certainly are. Keeping my eyes on some of the itemization that has been done as well. Like 2 items are finished for Brandini, but he is at a 3-level deficit to that of Wunder. And the Infinity Edge now completed for Levi too. So he's at that 3-item point plus the jungle items, also 4 items you could argue. Death Dance. He's going to be a pretty beefy dude. Graves is always someone that surprises me when you meet him in solo queue. You think, I've definitely got this 1v1. Then he's tankier than you give him credit for. The sustain he can get from this Death Dance as well. He's going to be a little more obnoxious than perhaps G2 can expect. And
we'll see if he goes for a full crit build. I mean, if you pick up something like a Rapid Fire, there's so many squishy guys on G2. You hit that 100% crit mark. Graves is someone that can 2-auto a squishy if you are not careful. So we'll see how Levi is going to be able to navigate these team fights and if he's going to be very effective.
And this point in the game becomes quite difficult for G2 because we talked a little bit about how Aatrox started to fall off in the late game. You look at the 5v5 damage in G2. They don't have the most amount of damage. They have good poke damage and chip damage, but skirmishing is really where their competition thrives, looking for these kind of picks. And the longer this game goes on, the harder it's going to be for them to really close out against 100 Thieves. Baron is the next objective that they really want to take, but they don't have the fastest Baron taking team, so starting that objective, they need to be in a really good position. Otherwise, 100 Thieves could run the risk of jumping in, getting that steal, and suddenly reclaiming control of the game.
Yeah, especially with all this AoE CC and the Rumble ultimate being thrown in there in the Baron pit is pretty scary. And you know, G2 knocked down that inhibitor turret top lane like a good 10-15 minutes ago and haven't been able to actually get back up and knock the inhibitor down itself. So 100 Thieves definitely hanging on, but G2 has enough of a gold advantage that if they play it well, they can get that white one. Oh my God!
For that one unexpected pick, aphromoo felt like he had a few more yards to go. Darkened Blade locking up Cody Sun, a few last ones. Infernal Chains draws him back. Bone Spear just threw him, but he'll be going down. 2 down now for 100 Thieves. The rest of the team has to watch, and that could be the objective control they needed on Baron.
Those are the perfect picks that G2 needed to really set it for this Baron. The Smite is still available for 100 Thieves. G2 looking ideally for another pick, putting Perkz in a position to get that kind of damage out. And Wadid is
Jankos still has his ult. They're going to go.
Paranoia goes down. Bone Spear onto Brandini. He has had such a rough game, and G2 has made sure of it. Wunder with the World Ender slowly waltzing towards the rest of 100 Thieves. It looks like he was about to push him off the edge there, but he backs off, and G2 looks for Baron.
I'm not sure that all of G2 needed to actually go for that, though. I mean, you probably could still just zone them out and go back to the Baron because, you know, Cody Sun and aphromoo are respawning. They did kill Brandini, and they are going to go onto the Baron, but 100 Thieves does have a chance to try to contest this. We'll see if they can get in.
Stunning just aphromoo up. Not a problem. He'll be able to get in being nice and tanky. Ryu closing them in, so they definitely take a little bit more Baron damage than they want. But I don't know if there's any follow-up after that. A good bottom wave pushing out. 100 Thieves has time to play with teleports and 10 seconds left on Brandini.
Yeah, so, now 100 Thieves.
Nice catch onto Wadid. This would be a huge pick. He started off a lot of fights.
They're going to go on to Baron now.
Ground. Yeah, if they can actually find Wunder, this would be huge. The ward goes down. They don't get him. A bit more forward vision will give them the time to possibly take this Baron. If they lose it,
I think it's just theirs. I mean, Wunder doesn't have the health. He has to go back to base and TP back. 100 Thieves will get this. They'll have the Baron recall. And just like that, G2 overcommit on the chase. They have some lazy recalls, get caught out. And it's 100 Thieves with a Baron, and they may have gotten to the point where they could start to stabilize in this game.
And this is exactly what we talked about. This is why G2 was so afraid of committing to this objective, because the risk of a steal was big, but in this situation, it was all G2's control. It starts off with Perkz finding a successful pick onto aphromoo. They know they have the numbers advantage, but it's still only a support to die. They want to try and find a pick onto Levi, but they can't. They only get able to kill the other support. And at this point, they think, oh, we still don't feel entirely confident going for the Baron, and that is their undoing because they spend so much time looking for a pick that they never commit to the objective, and then they're the ones that get picked up.
And I mean, I think right there at that point, that is where you fully commit to the Baron. You still have Nocturne ultimate. You still have a lot of follow-up for that, and you can wait till 100 Thieves comes to you at the Baron before you actually turn to fight. Instead, they try to chase into the jungle. They do get Brandini, but that delays a lot of time. Wunder is trying to dive into the inhibitor, killing more people instead of going for the Baron, and that is really G2 kind of getting a bit too aggressive there. And Wadid is going to have to be careful with no flash now. It's 100 Thieves on the push. They have the Baron buff. G2 will have to respond to them.
Honestly, since 20 minutes, or even before that, this is one of the first or second times that 100 Thieves has even had their vision across that river. They have been defending pink boards on their own side. Now, finally able to push some up and defend them. They can give Brandini some help to that bot side and create this human wall. Hopefully getting some of the lanes pushed up.
100 Thieves, we talked about it earlier on. Taliyah and Rumble are no slouches when it comes to damage in the later stages. Rumble's scaling recently got buffed, but
everywhere is just too close against this G2 team right now. If you haven't seen the vision there, last few seconds, it is very dangerous. Zhonya's goes down, a very nice equalizer. They have to fight back on. Hjarnan from the top, a soul flare to the middle of the team fight. Takes down Ryu. Levi just missing the collateral damage, not enough to take him down as they lose Wadid. The fight is now a back and forth. Who will stand tall? Wunder gets down, but he's got World Ender on, and he'll come back up as Jankos stands tall as well. Brandini's forced to back as he is the only one left standing.
Levi and takes down 2 GAs, but it is not enough as G2 find pick after pick and a successful team fight as they look to run it down the middle.
Yeah, and so much credit to Perkz and Hjarnan and Wadid. These guys finding so much pokes, so many picks to actually open those fights. You know, that was incredibly close, and now it's going to be probably 2 inhibs going down here. 100 Thieves can't really fight until Levi is back up. We'll see how long G2 wants to stay around. Are they going to push for it? And it looks like they will.
Always incredible to see a team play that unfazed, knowing their lead, their control of the map, even in a Baroned up, or the face of a Baroned up team. And we'll see it again right here.
Yeah, this is Perkz comboing up with Wadid, the pick, pulling aphromoo over. They get the kill right off the bat, and that is beautiful stuff there for G2, and then the full commit comes in from Nocturne.
It certainly does. He dives on top of the Taliyah. He doesn't commit all of his abilities yet because he forces the Zhonyas, and then Karma comes in from the top flank, forcing 100 Thieves into this choke point where all this AoE can start to shred through the lineup of 100 Thieves. Levi is definitely a player worth keeping your eye on as he's able to do a huge amount of damage. Look at how
2 autos.
Jumps through Jankos, but GA plus GA, he doesn't die, and now Hjarnan's in trouble.
Hjarnan feeling the pain towards the top side. 100 Thieves seem to have a bit of a run on the map right now. And it seems like they'll take down top, but meet a little bit of resistance after. Little steps, though. Little steps.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you want to poke him, but you don't want that fight as Wadid. So he's gonna try to be annoying, but he's not gonna commit to anything there. I mean, Levi is still monstrously strong, and you know, now that those double GAs are down, G2's next team fight is significantly weaker, so it was very important, as you pointed out, that he is that Levi was able to knock them down. I mean, he's closing in on a Bloodthirster. He could buy a GA right now of his own if he wants, but I think he is going to go for the BT, look for that full-on team fight power. They are grouped, and oh my god, that poke.
He's got everything, too. They've crowned him. The Zeke's, or the Convergence as well, on him as well. I can say it enough. 21-10 with 36 minutes on the clock. And you can see that was a negative Baron play as Brandini has taken quite a bit of damage. It's very hard to win a fight when you're always starting at 10%. And now Perkz has created the chase. Oh, that's the kill coming in on Paranoia as Jankos just cleans that one up.
Perkz is just making 100 Thieves look stupid right now. He's running around, finding the pick onto Brandini, baiting all 5 members to come to him. They get the kill, they get out. Elder Dragon is on the map here now for G2 as well. And Perkz really is showing us an incredible game here on the Zoe. I mean, he's had some bad deaths. He's given up some bad picks, but the amount of poke and how annoying he has looked on this champion is pretty impressive.
G2 have been running 100 Thieves around the map for the last couple of minutes. And with the Elder Drake in their back pocket, they haven't secured all 4 Drakes, but they certainly have quite the hefty burn. With Baron spawning in about 2 minutes' time, they may use this to just buy time until the Baron respawns, or they may just look to siege. We've already seen the amount of damage that Perkz can do. You combine that with a Karma poke, who's now at 4 completed items, then they will just sit under these towers, keep throwing this damage out. And can 100 Thieves really look to engage on Elder Dragon up G2?
It's very tough, you know, and like you point out, you know, it is about the poke. It's not about that full-on engage. You sit back, you wait for your GAs to come back up on Jankos and Wunder, you poke them off the turrets, you try to get guaranteed advantages here as G2. And meanwhile, it's the same story it's been for the last 25 minutes for 100 Thieves. Farm it out, try to catch up. You have Levi on full items. Brandini still has tons of room to grow here. He's trying to get those items completed, trying to become more and more relevant. And, you know, Wunder capped out on levels a while ago. Brandini is going to be level 18. He is, that power gap is closing over time.
100 Thieves buying quite a bit of time in this game. Just off of that engage on the top side where G2 chased too far. Wunder flexing a bit as Paranoia goes down. Looks like the engage goes towards top side, and that's going to be quite a bit of damage onto Brandini. Cody Sun was trying to help as they lose a turret on the bottom. They lose Brandini on the top, and the base begins to fall.
This might just be the end of the game here. That pick has kind of cracked the base. They try to respond and send Cody Sun up top. That means you lose the bot inhibitor. They're going to lose the top here as well. 100 Thieves are going to have to look for a fight.
Oh my word. Every hit is half of their health bar. It's almost impossible to stay on the Rift right now. Being surgically removed by G2. Cody Sun getting the lockdown and then knockdown. Levi with the GA on. He's been the one to deliver the damage, and Wunder instantly flashes on him to make sure he's crowd controlled, to make sure he cannot see anything. And Levi's going to try his damnedest as soon as he gets up. aphromoo trying to beat his defensive wall. And now he's got a few minions in front. Tries to clear him as he goes. Quick draw forward. And Wadid has no chance, but the turrets are falling, and Levi is doing his damnedest.
Levi staying alive. It's the last man up. He knocks him down, and the GA coming in so clutch for them, but it's 3 inhibs down. The base is in shambles, and the outer turrets are still alive for G2. So it's going to be rough, but here it is one more time.
So let's keep our eyes on Levi and how he pulls this fight off, because he's not the focus right now. He's just sitting on the back line, and look at all the big crits that he's getting, especially onto Perkz. Like, he just chunks him out with the turret damage as well, hitting the minions every so often to get that lifesteal back. And every time G2 commit to trying to shut him down, he's just getting crit after crit after crit. Paired up with the Braum as well, the duo has a strong skirmish.
100 Thieves are actually on Baron. We should jump back to live here, as this is critical. If 100 Thieves can get this, they might be able to buy a little bit more time. Mid-inhib is back up.
Calling the cavalry on both sides. Bone Spear just missing, and Levi grabs Baron again. Both can make it over the wall. The ultimate from Taliyah and quick draw gets them to safety, but this means G2 is on the attack.
Yeah, smart thinking, though, from 100 Thieves. They get that, they get back to base. 1 inhib has respawned, which means it's only the 2 supers per wave instead of 6, so that is so big, and we'll see if they can keep this alive. I mean, with the assistance of the Baron minions, they have a chance. They still can win one big team fight, and 40+ minutes into the game, if you win a dominant team fight, you have a chance to just march down the map and end the game.
It becomes quite challenging for G2 to find a pick in 100 Thieves base as well, when they're constantly being grouped up to try and clear these minion waves out. We talked about how the late game isn't the strongest for G2, and while they've been able to find a couple of opportune fights, this will be the hardest one yet as they look to try and end the game against 100 Thieves.
And Levi swapped his items. He's on 100% crit now. Rapid Fire and Maw. He's selling the Warrior, selling the GA. He's looking to carry.
It's absolutely incredible. Just the last fight alone, Levi did 10,000 damage to save the game. He must stay alive. He is the priority for 100 Thieves, but also for G2. They have that same goal. 41.5 minutes in, 26-14 as 100 Thieves backs against the wall. Continuing to get Baron. A hit coming in, no, from Cody Sun. He gets Bone Speared forward and not finish that. G2 is just peppering the health bars of 100 Thieves right now, waiting for the engage.
Ooh, good damage for Wunder. He's forced to back away. I believe the GA is up and available. Jankos should be as well. They're looking for a pick. They just want to chunk Levi out. Take him off the board, get rid of the damage dealer, and then they can look to finally end this game. But as long as he is alive, 100 Thieves still have an opportunity to win.
Yeah, Perkz getting so much poke down, and it should be the inhibitor falling now, but 100 Thieves looking for a fight.
Cody Sun missing everything there as he went in quickly with the flash. The hits are going on to Wunder at the moment. He throws down World Ender. Perkz taking damage on the backline as Levi's trying to focus. The collateral damage to separate the fight. Jankos works on the bot side. Remember, that's 4 versus the 5 members of 100 Thieves as Jankos is off on the side.
Yeah, Jankos still has that ultimate available. Wunder does not, and is super minions crashing in from all sides. The Baron buff only doing so much here. 400 Thieves, they are really getting penned in.
Doing a hell of a job of holding on, though. Perkz in for one final. Can he draw the aggression? Wunder not feeling it, and he starts to back off as everybody tiptoes in to skip out of the fight even quicker as they get their damage down.
But look at all the ultis that have now been used from the side of 100 Thieves. Brandini's ult is down, Afro down. Levi going to be coming up soon, but Cody Sun's is down as well. Fortunately for them, it was enough to force G2 back to base. So for the time being, 100 Thieves have been able to hold the line, and then Nexus stays alive as G2 is forced to run with their tail between them.
Yeah, the inhibitors are going to start coming up, so 100 Thieves will hold on for now. It gets very worrying, though, as the second Elder comes up. We very rarely see it in competitive, but if you get a second Elder, it is so much more powerful than the first and really would give G2 perhaps the power they need to close out the game. But Brandini is almost full build now. This guy was insanely behind. He's level 18. He's on his death cap. He already has, you know, another large rod here for the Spellbinder's Orb. And like the Rumble is a real threat now. Everyone on 100 Thieves is maxing out, so 6K gold ahead or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we already talked about how the later this game goes, it's going to be harder for G2. Their scaling isn't the best. They have to rely on Perkz, finding this poke, finding these ability to chunk members of 100 Thieves out of the fight before they can then look to go for an all-in. And with the Elder Dragon spawning in 130, Perkz has to be the big player for G2 if they want to end this game.
And if there's one guy you want to be the big player as a G2 fan, it is Perkz. He has been a monster this whole split long. G2, oh my god, that poke.
It's part of that star power play, being able to control that intensity and actually make it into something and produce results. Wadid goes in, but the Wunder from the side. They take down aphromoo, looking for a final fight. G2 pulls the trigger, and Levi goes down. Brandini doing what he can now with the flame spit around, but the Zanyas comes out quick to deny his damage, and he goes down. Cody Sun, he is praying for this one go in their favor, and Ryu's going to be the last one to help that cause. He goes down, the double kill for Perkz, and G2 will look for the Nexus.
Really good pick from Perkz. He was the player we were watching. And off the back of that, G2 take down 100 Thieves.
44 minutes in, 31-14. G2 find victory over 100 Thieves.
Yeah, it was a long one and a hard-fought battle there. G2 had such a strong early advantage, but really did struggle to close. But that final fight, Levi gets caught by the steering chains, pulled back in, did not actually flash out of that, and gets pulled in, knocked down. Really just a great collapse from G2 coming from all sides and focusing down the 100 Thieves carry.
And, you know, as a European fan, you start to get concerned when you look at how G2 played, because they found the early leads like they have done so many times in Europe, but 100 Thieves made it very difficult for them to close things out. With the composition that G2 had, it wasn't as easy just grouping up and fighting like they did with the funnel comps. They had to find these fixed. They had to find targets being caught out of position, and 100 Thieves, while they did make it difficult, they were still getting caught out. They were still getting picked, but they were still finding the big objectives. They were still able to get, I believe, 2 Barons that game, and it was just so back and forth. 100 Thieves were in a position to be able to win, but at the very end, that crucial pick that Perkz found helped them secure the victory.
Yeah, Perkz definitely with a very strong game overall, and some of our questions now being answered here about what 100 Thieves will look like with this new roster, with this different lineup, you know, and it's Levi things, right? This is what you are expecting when you see Levi at an international event. The team is kind of putting their faith in him to carry, and you know, this is the first professional Graves funnel I have seen, and really, he was performing very, very well.
And it came down to that fight, knowing if he goes down first, it becomes a problem. He only did 1,000 damage in that final fight. We saw it, 34 to 31,000 was Perkz and Levi. Perkz did 8,000 damage in that endgame fight because he stayed alive. That's
one paddle star.
One paddle star.
One paddle star. Maybe an auto attack.
Go to sleep. All right, to get their thoughts on that victory, Avali is standing by with G2's Aspect of the Twilight.
Thanks, guys. Perkz, congratulations on picking up another win. Now, you also picked up the 2v2 win, so how confident were you coming into this match?
Well, I'm overall pretty confident in this tournament. So we didn't even actually know that we were going to play 2v2 match. Like, I had no idea. And then today in the morning we got told, so who wants to play 2v2 match? And then we said, just sign me up in Wunder. And then we were like just theory crafting. We didn't like, we had practicing like 2v2, we like to try hard. So we were like, theory crafting, what can be good? And we were like, oh, Anivia Pop, you can in to stun. And we were like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. And then the Levi even didn't take flash, so it really sucked for them. But about the game itself, I'm kind of like disappointed with our performance. I think the game was like too dirty from us. It was like not clean at all. So it took us way too long to close the game, and I'm hoping we can show better performance in the next couple of games. Were you worried at any point that Levi coming out with some of those crazy plays that 100 Thieves would come back? I mean, Levi was like really smurfing, like Levi, mwah, but we won in the end, so yeah. I mean, I didn't even actually think we could lose. Like everyone else besides Levi was kind of like running it down. So Levi was smurfing, but everyone else was like sabotaging him, so yeah, I knew he was won. Well, impart some of your knowledge onto us, because right now NA is down. What's NA doing wrong against all these EU teams? I think the EU teams like just are creative right now in this meta when there's like no AD carries and no like one way of playing the game. So the EU players' creativity and I guess just mechanics like come out on top, besides the splice game. But we don't talk about that. So and yeah, I think that's the biggest reason right now.
Well, Perkz, thank you. And to break down that game, let's hear from the desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. G2 picking up the victory over 100 Thieves and moving the EU LCS to 2-1 in our Rift Rivals scoreline.
Perfect game.
Deficio, I was promised funnel comps out of G2. I was told this squad, this team, was the EU funnel comp. They do it the best, and they're the most practiced of any team out there. And then they gave me this.
Well, they came into this pick and ban phase saying, we will do a funnel strat. Then they saw the bans from 100 Thieves in the first phase and realized, hang on, we actually have a chance of picking Aatrox first, which was very good. There's going to be a Nocturne, there was a Zoe available. Like, if all the OP champions are there, then you don't have to pick a funnel comp. I mean, that's a smart pick a man.
Very, very much so. On the flip side, we have Brandini and Levi coming in. Of course, we saw them in the 2v2 matchup for side selection. They lost there. Poured ourselves into the game itself. We got a funnel strap built around Levi on that Graves. He got a little bit of props from Perkz there in the interview, but ultimately the win didn't come through. What happened?
Well, I think this was a case of they kind of bent over backwards for Levi. It's like, yes, he did play very well, but like Cody on Afro is the...
on Alistar.
Alistar. I mean, it's one of the same.
Afro's champion.
Afro's Alistar.
That's what I'm saying. It's so ingrained in my mind. And then you have the Rumble, because you gave up the Aatrox first pick. It's like, they kind of...
that Rumble, what was that?
I don't know.
Not the play.
Both of them, I don't know what they were. But it's just a case where it's like, yes, Levi will look the best. He obviously played very well, but he was also in a situation where, like, you're going to look good, and the rest of the team came up short around him.
All right, let's take a look at some of the early action as it was played out in the game. Aatrox against that Rumble pick that we're a little bit bewildered by.
And I actually do think that the Rumble can lane against Aatrox early. You respect him, you wave clear, but what hurts is when you have no protection from the roams whatsoever. Like, Perkz perfectly executed turret dive there, allowing Wunder to walk into melee range, pretty much never getting turret aggro. And they kind of continue to do whatever they want. Ryu was baiting, maybe, but then he gives the double kill over to Wunder.
Ryu was not having a great game. Overall, Wunder's Aatrox was very good. He landed some really sick combos, also in team fights, which is very hard. We actually managed to get knockups in there and sat in the middle of the fight, which was nice. Brandini, though, like, I don't even want to flame the player. I think if he ever had any question in his mind of who are they trying to show on stage, is it Levi or him?
Yeah.
It's definitely Levi. Brandini gets, you know, a squishy champion without any jungler to help him against an Aatrox and a Nocturne. Like, I mean, you are going to die.
Right, you were not setting him up for success.
No, you're literally saying you will die.
You could put FLICKR on Rumble up there. He's still going to die a lot.
There it is.
Probably not as much.
9 times.
But many times.
Let's take a look, though, at how this game extended, because based on that early replay and the way we talk about these power picks for G2, they should have won easily.
Exactly. I felt like this game, as Perkz said in the interview, he never really thought they could lose, but stuff like this kind of kept happening. So Perkz gets picked off. When they have a lot of wave pressure, it pulls them back from that. Perkz, again, looking for a big play. Not sure if this is the one. Yeah, they just managed to pick off Perkz as he's wandering through. They also are able to pick off Hjarnan, Wadid. Perkz. I mean,
no, there's so many pickoffs of Perkz. You know, you'll see the other ones later.
Yeah, there's a couple Perkz.
It's funny. I had requested 3, and they've given me like 5 because there were just
they
so
found
many.
more. They went in and they're like, hey, gold mine.
The funny thing is, Perkz died twice in the EU LCS so far, and 5 times this game.
That's true. Across 6 games in the LCS, only 2 deaths.
No
5
fun
games,
for Perkz.
5 deaths in this one.
Did you guys just see that Wadid play? His entire team recalled or work on the recalling, and he walks into the jungle to try and hook someone.
He's got to get vision control.
You got to assert your dominance around that Baron.
I thought he was going to ward or something. He's like, ah! That was really bad. They lost Baron.
Yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves able to pick up a couple Barons throughout that game, which is really what extended it. And we did see moments, some kind of beautiful moments where Levi was showcased as a mechanical god on that Graves, as well as just being farmed to all hell. But ultimately, the map pressure that G2 had meant they could wait it out for the final fight, and eventually 1 5v5 would end in their favor.
I think this is the one.
You haven't seen this angle yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen this angle.
That's just, that was like 15 minutes.
That was the game-ending fight.
That wasn't it was cool, though, Mike. I gotta give him that.
I've received word that it is coming, so we will see the final fight in just a bit. But as we wait for that, here it is.
Yeah, and this was just them using all of their ultimates on aphromoo. But once they're kind of already in full retreat mode, Wadid doesn't get him.
Get out of there.
Does. And then Levi's kind of caught in a bad position. Aatrox gets the knock-up as well, so they basically just blow him up. And since, as they mentioned, everyone kind of bent over backwards to allow Levi to have the 700 CS on the Graves, but at that point he'd been buying and reselling his items. He kind of stopped scaling, and G2 just got the pick.
Yeah, and you get to that point where there's only 1 point of failure for the team, right? And so as soon as Levi goes down, it's a one-team fight for G2. They're finally able to push through and pick up that victory. So 2-1 is where we sit. We've got one more game left to go today. But I want to get a sense of how you guys feel the regions so far are representing themselves.
Great.
super excited about it.
Feigning that confidence the whole time. I'm actually fairly concerned about NA because if we're projecting, right, this was the first even level matchup. They got kind of smashed. So now you're wondering how many teams can beat Splice, how many teams can beat G2, how many teams can beat Fnatic when we ultimately get to that relay race on Saturday.
Right.
The scoreboard's not lying. EU's up 2-1.
Well, I also didn't like that G2 didn't use their best strategy, and it still looked easy. Like, that wasn't the funnel that we were hyped up about. And
but they showed everyone else what to do against them when they pull out that funnel strategy.
Yeah, don't ban anything good, apparently.
Kill the top end. Rely on some OP champions. All right, well, I got to push us forward to a commercial break. When we come back, though, of course, we're going to see Echo Fox, the 3rd seed from NA, against the 3rd seed from the EU LCS in Splice. Stay tuned for just that.
Wunder says not right now, low on health. Perkz says go in. Kill number 2 for G2.
Did we win, boys?
Yeah, we won. Yeah, we won. Is it winner gets to choose?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Few hits, Hjarnan not looking good. Flashes out, but the stun is there. The follow-up damage is not, though. Flash forward, and yes! Rio will be there to deter an extra fight, but he might have just
another kill.
Put himself in the ground. Another one coming in for Wunder.
They don't have a lot of team fight damage.
Oh, you were saying?
For team fight damage.
Perkz and Hjarnan getting a little hit on that. Levi doing everything he can. Double buff transfer coming over. And now he's got a few minions in front.